looking at the players and looking at how both teams, at least in certain lanes, like I think jungle plays fairly similar champions. Mid lane plays fairly similar. ADC, I suppose they go for scaling oriented, and then top lane, both players play the Tahm Kench. There's a few other picks that are slightly different in the champion pools, but
Mm-hmm. They did start the draft, however, and now we see from the Punisher side, Xerath first, Ivan second, Gucci answers with Jinx and Wukong.
I think
Interesting.
The Xerath ban is basically saying that okay, we want to first pick Orianna or Syndra and then see which one you leave open. Then you can see if they ban the Jarvan to basically secure the Orianna or Syndra first pick, so they wouldn't have any like early ganks coming the midway and
Mm-hmm.
taking out the Ivern and the Jinx is just two scaling champions in different roles that probably both want to play somewhat towards scaling.
Now, okay, we see Jarvan being banned and Senna as well. It just really seems that at least Emerald Punishers here are just banning out every single scaling stuff that might be really like on the far ranged, and now the opposite
I think
side also
there's
thinks of take out early gankers, as you said.
That's true. Even though the Jarvan red side pick, sorry, ban is curious to me because if they went, for example, Orianna first pick, you can go Syndra Jarvan into it, and if they go Jarvan first pick, you can go Orianna Nocturne. So there's certain ways that you don't really need to ban the Jarvan and still get the better side as red side, but seeing the adjustment, they go for the Rel instead because I think Kuchi plays like Rel flex pick, so maybe they wanted to deny that to make sure.
Yeah, now we see the traditional rel pick here. Um, at least that has been the case for most Estonian games, I believe. We see the Syndra coming out. We haven't seen Orianna still, which is surprising. But like Syndra is kind of the counterpart of it, so one of them at least has been shown. I do suspect that Emerald Punishers will answer with Orianna.
To me, it's a very interesting draft in a way because I feel like Kuchi could have just went Orianna Nocturne and they would have had really strong team fighting and just really strong basically Wombo in the sense that it's easy to execute, put the lights out. You have the Orianna that's really useful. Going for the Syndra, I don't know, the Lulu, you're setting up for like a scaling ADC and maybe take it away from Grelis. But I don't think Lulu is that much of a priority, and Syndra, in a way, is a worse Orianna. In the sense that Syndra has probably the first 5 levels, and if you have like a really aggressive jungler, you can set up the Syndra for early success. But Orianna is most of the time going to be more effective in team fights.
I mean, yeah, I agree with the Lulu part. It just really seems that showing either an ADC or most likely a jungler here would be like far safer option. You get that one important pick you need to get out. It doesn't get counter picked that hard, and just straight up, set up your team comp for way better. How should I say this? Like a game plan. But now you pick Lulu first, the enemy picks like a really hard engage usually, but we see Renata here, which is not that like hard engage, but it's still quite a rough poke. But now Gucci
Renata,
also, yeah.
sorry, yeah, Renata is mostly disengaged, but also with the Renata ultimate, you don't really want to pick squishes and high damage into it because if you have like 5 squishes, 5 damage dealers on the opposing side, then they can just get each other low and you can never really engage into the enemy composition that is the Renata. But here we see like most teams still going fairly safe, fairly team fight oriented, taking the Ornn out, which is obvious. They can blind or just take it. There's no perhaps good answers to it. And then we see the Sivir coming out because when you take the Lulu that early, you want to pair it with a scaling ADC and make sure you guarantee that. then you can blind pick, for example, jungle on 4 and have a counter pick top. So good idea what they're going for here.
Yeah, I mean, Sivir being picked. I mean, Sivir is one of those ADCs I'm not too fond of, just because of the fact that she doesn't really come online before 3 items, and it's really rough to play early on without an ADC. Especially, like I'm not saying Sivir is that useless, but if we see something like, let's say Renata Jhin, Renata, I don't know, at least like any kind of a little bit long ranged like poke, then it's gonna be rough, at least on the bot side.
That's true. There's two parts there. Like obviously, Sivir isn't very useful early game, but also at this rank, we have like we saw Sivir in SLA as well, where teams just don't punish the early, so you get a safe pass to like 2 3 items, and then you can just play team fights. So in that sense, it may be good, but then we can see how it actually ends up working.
Okay, but the question is, where does the brand go?
Jungle,
You think?
yeah, for sure. Brand Jungle is really strong right now, and everyone else like Lulu, Sivir, Syndra, they have fixed roles. They can't play anywhere else.
Okay, interesting, interesting. Don't think we have seen brand jungle in the tournament or in the league so far. Maybe
I don't think so.
there has been a few, but okay, we see the Yone, the bold blind pick of the top lane, being answered by Renekton. Oh, the top lane is gonna be a fist fight for sure. Gotta love it.
We see here actually, even though I like Kuchi picks, I think each pick is strong in their own right. I feel like they lack engage, and there's certain picks that are just fairly squishy. So if, for example, Punishers can either get an early lead, or if they can basically have the Yona in a side lane, or like it's, I feel like more easier, rather easier to execute for the Punishers in terms of how they pick and find fights. Like they can engage themselves with the Rel, the Orianna ultimate, the Yona ultimate. They can engage on the opponents, and also with the Xayah ult, the Renata ult, with the Orianna ult, they can also disengage. So I feel like Punishers picks and comp actually has more strengths or more ways they can play as opposed to Gucci. Uh, even though, as I said, every single pick is good in its own right, they basically want the enemy to come to them. So that means they basically need first move on every single neutral. Like they want to be first to Dragon, first to Rift, first to Baron. Otherwise, if they have to uh, try to engage on the enemy, they're just gonna get kited or disengaged out of, and it might be difficult for them to find fights.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this comp, Gucci has a lot less like a defined front line. As you said, it's like really in the lack of like engage. The only thing you can possibly do is just find a stun and have people follow up on it. But nobody can really chill on the front line. Like let's say compared to Rel, who can just stand there and be menacing, Gucci doesn't
Yeah,
have that.
they don't have a straight tank. All they have really is the Syndra E. They had the Sivir ult, basically the speed. Either, for example, the Renekton up, then have the Lulu ult come on top of that, and try to keep the Renekton front lining and get out enemy ults like the Renata ult, Xayah ult, Orianna ult. But they have so much disengage on the Punisher side, and also like Yonagin ult in, Relgen ult in to your backline. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they actually play the team fights, because I feel like Gucci uh, team composition needs greater leads coming off the laning phase to function in team fights. Because if they go even, or even if they go behind, like Punisher's team comp just does so much more. So I feel like it's on Gucci to get some early leads and then try to snowball that. And having a lead would probably make finding and playing the team fights easier for them.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense, makes sense. I'm really curious how that brand jungle is gonna play out. because like I've seen a lot of stuff about it. It's not that people think it's just like a miracle jungler, but they do believe that the damage output and the clear itself is that insane that it's worth picking. I don't know, but
Yeah,
we're about to see.
Brand is one of those champions that really just fits well in this meta environment because you don't get a lot of invades, you don't get punished early. The team fights the way they play, people usually herd or at least don't play in and out that well. So you can basically pop your ultimate, put down your full rotation, and then chill in the back line while enemy has to basically move away, get out of the fight, like try to break the ultimate first and then re-engage. Like for the opposing team, it's slightly more difficult to execute or play against. So in that regard, like Brand can clear really well and then carry that over to team fights that are fairly easy to execute. So that makes it a really strong pick at that level of play, especially.
Mm-hmm. It's also kind of interesting how late the ADCs were picked. I do feel like ADC is one of those roles that you can like pick early on and not really care about it. So seeing those one in like the third slot, one in fourth is just odd. Like the biggest like mind-boggling thing right now is that mid laners are being picked first, and it's a normal thing now. Like Syndra and Orianna are just meta. They are just so safe that they get picked first. I still remember like half a year ago we had a meta where you would like unconditionally pick mid laner last. Like how does where did we go? How do,
I feel like mid lane had more variety in the sense that when you counter picked, you actually had more value out of the counter pick. Whereas right now, solo kills don't happen as often because you can pick something like Oriana, Syndra, Ziggs, Xerath, maybe even Azir, and all those champions can farm fairly safely and not have as much kill threat if you don't make a mistake yourself. Like you can basically farm, you can trade, and then when you get low, you basically TP back in and then try to manage your trades better. But there shouldn't be a lot of like solo kill threat, even though we saw Punzen solo killing Black Manta mid laner in the same matchup last game. So that will be really interesting to see. But I think those are the reasons we see a lot of those style champions in the mid lane, and every single counter pick you could have to those champions. For example, you can pick Xerath or Ziggs into Orianna or Syndra, for example, then you have more range, you have more poke, and then you still kind of play for team fights as opposed to solo kills in the mid lane. And the other uh, way to counter that is to go something like Akali Jarvan and then just try to, or Akali Wukong, for example, and then all you're trying to do is basically play for the mid jungle 2v2 like pre 6 or even post 6 and try to get a lead there, break that lane open, and then carry it over to either top or bottom. But that's like more difficult to execute. So that's why we see all those kind of stalemate or rather even matchups in the mid lane, I feel like.
yeah. Um, Give me a second. I want to entertain the gamblers here and just put out the prediction.
Idras, I don't know if you got an answer yet, but Emerald Punisher's mid laner is Punson. Can we gamble ourselves as well? Like I have some points. Is it
You can, I can't.
inside trading?
I mean that will mean you know who wins, but you don't.
Yeah, that's true. Well, before the draft, I would have said Kuchi wins and they still have a really strong like scaling and teamfight comp. But realistically speaking, if I take skill out of the equation, I would actually give an advantage to Punishers. I feel like the comp is actually better, but I also feel like it's slightly more difficult to execute in some ways, or rather, they can't make the mistake of like walking into Gucci comp and like engage into them, because if they play the like Gucci comp's strengths and try to like engage too heavily into them, then they can get blown up by the Syndra, the Brand, the Sivir. So
Okay. Do you see the game in Discord?
yes, I can see it.
Okay, good. Then we're good. Yeah. Standard 5 point. No real shenanigans here. Junglers, well, not showing just yet where they're gonna bat, but we see Brand going bot side. So maybe they're gonna just trade the maps and so the Brand goes top side.
I think bottom lane doesn't really have good setup on either side. Like they will be trading a lot, or they can just sit back and not trade. And then if they were trading heavily, you could actually go and try to gank with the Brand or the Rel, but there's not a lot of setup apart from like trading and getting each other low. So I would assume at least one of the teams to play top side and try to get either the top side or the mid lane ahead, because both matchups in both lanes are kind of lanes that if they get ahead, they can kind of take over the lane.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the runes. I mean, I don't spot like anything real, real weird, but I do think Brand does have like maybe a little bit more profit on the electrocute. At least I'm like, I just don't think almost in any case that Dark Harvest is better than electrocute. If you're going for that tree anyway. But maybe.
Yeah, the Brand Rune Chase, you can make arguments. Also, when you look at Renata, for example, if you go for the Guardian, you don't look to trade as much as opposed to going, for example, Aerie, and then you're just looking for back and forth trade. So maybe even going for the Relic and just getting the easier executes on the minions, and not looking to use the spell divs as much in trades if you're not looking to trade. Like that's something that could have been different.
But the question becomes, do you even want to play safe as Renata here? You do have this, like, quite a bit of early age, don't you?
Yeah, pretty much.
So maybe like the Eri would have been a little bit better so Xayah can just play as offensive as she wants.
I
Okay,
think ideally
Brand?
they would have played area and just go for more aggression in the lane and just trade 2v2 and then maybe try to gank with the Rel who has setup. Because otherwise, like if you don't play aggro on the bot side, then there's not a lot of point pathing bot side. I don't know. We'll see what their plan is. We can see a really good ward though, like
Okay,
they
but
see it
Rail coming
completely.
in? Wait. We see... And Jesse gets just stunned here. I mean, snared. Does end up getting out. Wait,
It
what?
lives, holy.
Just a lot of shields, a lot of just running, and she makes it out. What do I know?
I actually thought the heal and the flash came out late, but he lived with like a sliver of health there. I thought he would heal earlier to get the movement speed, try to get out of the way of the Rel, and then once the Rel goes for the CC, even though we
Wow!
see that's
And
almost a solo kill.
that was close. I mean, calculated. Yeah. So we see a lot of action with no blood. Surprising, honestly. TP is coming out from the top side as well. I mean, why wouldn't he, right? But it has been like close. It still is close, but we see almost 400, almost 500 gold difference going to the Gucci.
It's mostly
Um,
because of the CS, right? Like
yeah,
the
has
bottom
to
lane
be.
has a significant gold lead already, and top lane as well with the CS because he was pushed in so heavily. That's why
But
as well, for example, the relic just make farming easier.
mhm. I
Otherwise, you just
mean,
need
top lane
to
has
have
to
more.
spend TP for it though, so balances out a
That's
bit.
fair. That's fair. Yeah. Now Yona has a TP advantage.
Question becomes, can he efficiently use it, or just does it just fade away?
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see if there actually is a opportunity to use it because there's two ways you can play, right? You can, for example, TP bottom lane into a fight,
Mm-hmm.
or you can look for like a double rotation where you push out top, you rotate middle, Oriana goes for the dragon, then you expect a fight, and maybe again
Ooh,
TP
and
back to.
I think the solo kill is coming out. Out attack is enough. Bunsen goes down. Rebreathe gets the first blood. But now no info is following up on the Teemu here, getting that Los Mordreto in a situation where maybe he doesn't even really care about what is this? Renekton
I
deals
think
so much damage, but Teemo is just keeping the CC alive, and the Los Mordreto is going down by the end.
that was actually really well played by Emeralds there, because Info held one of his abilities to make sure once Yone goes back, he can actually come back into the fight, and then he like or rather no, Info kept his abilities for that. I think Lost Murderetta, he has to basically disengage the fight when Yone goes back, or Timo rather goes back, and then Lost just disengages the fight instead of fighting the Rel there 1v1. Like I don't know what he was expecting to get out of it.
Yeah, the question is why do you step back, right? It's
Yeah, just disengage the fight, you're out. Like, he shouldn't really go back there, just giving up extra there. And now with the no flash, the TP advantage on Yone, like, I think they can actually snowball that lane now and see how it goes.
yeah. I mean, it all comes down to also can the Punishers get get the Herald here, because now Teemu should have theoretically top lane advantage. As I mean, she did rotate for the bot lane dragon, but it seems there's just that big of a time gap that it doesn't really matter. They get the rotations right and they can still contest it.
Can I please ask you to do one thing though? Can you put on the objective timers?
It
To
is. Wait, what?
I don't see them on top of the map though. You can use
No,
the
no, no. You
small
see the
eye
top
then.
right, top right, top left.
Okay, but
You mean the camps?
no, that's alright. We have a fight though.
Yeah.
Double thumbs out.
I know if it does get the ult down, but it doesn't keep 7 for
Yeah,
1
it's no
for
flash.
long. Donnery picks up the kill here with Chi. Nothing to show in return.
Emeralds is playing really well with the roams though, like the putting Hansen bottom lane, having Grelis and Tonnery rotate for the Rift, make sure they secure that, because they obviously want to snowball the Yone and maybe try to get Oriana more into the lane as well.
Okay. I mean, just a lot of poking going on, but there is just no objective to play for right now, so I assume people will take it a little bit slower to get the gold up to the point of just contesting the neutral once more when it comes up. EQ coming
Can
from Repreed.
Canceling the back is huge though, because now they have to stay for another wave. They cannot really pressure the Syndra, even though Sivir and Lulu can pressure the Oriana. So what Punishers would want to do is they would want to swap their mid and bottom lane back.
Okay, Los Mordreto doing a little bit of an engage move here. Nothing to show for it though, so Timo
Yana
does
should win that trade though.
should is the keyword, but Renekton is just that strong, I think, in general. It doesn't amount to much. still 2 minutes to go for the dragon. Even if fights do happen right now, the gold lead is not gonna matter too much in the long run. I believe it just the objective comes down first. Ooh, but Timu ults in, does get a lot of damage down, gets maybe even out, does get out. So both ultimates have been popped. Lost Mordota does get TP back for the dragon, but doesn't have it now. So maybe Timu gets a free rotation, has to commit still on the top lane. It's not a favorable situation for him, but it kinda, I think he can make up for it. Like, in terms of plates, if he stays top lane, he can get a lot of gold, even when Gucci goes for the dragon.
Yeah, it looks like both teams actually want to contest Dragon. Like, they were both setting up for it. Temporarily, Punisher's got the upper hand, but Renekton has, okay, no longer has TP, he just goes back. But we can still see, as we see a 1v1 in the mid lane again, that's another solo kill.
I mean, at this point, it's just straight up murder. It's like
You can see the
EQ.
Rebreed came back with Ludens straight from base, like TP'd back, and Punson wasn't respecting that because he doesn't have his item complete. So that's a miscalculation just stepping up there. That's very, very bad for him in the grand scheme of things. Now mid lane is really Syndra like favor.
Yeah, I mean, we're going into the dragon with 1500 gold difference, which is quite big, at least for the 12th minute mark. And now no info is again top lane. You gotta wonder, like, for 2 times in a row, no info is just top lane on, like, the spawn of the dragon. Is that a wise choice?
That's a good question. The question is, like the first one, I think they were trying to get top ahead so they could basically leave him in a 1v1 and then play bot side. Right now what happened is that Syndra has got such a lead on Orianna that they might not be able to win the 4v4. So what I suppose his idea is going for the cross map, like, okay, we lost Orianna, Syndra is ahead, we can't fight the 4v4, so we need to get some compensation on the other side of the map, as we see them heavily pressuring Loss under the turret right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's really sketchy looking because, like, even if they go and try to get something done here, I mean, Loss is not gonna go down that easily. Does Timo have enough damage? No, he doesn't, and this ends up being just, I mean, I wouldn't say bad, but certainly not worth it.
Loss played that really well to juke that out, like used his abilities, got the sustain, got the CC in return, so they couldn't actually chain CC on the Punisher's side. And now Syndra getting to push mid, Algren and Jessia getting the push on the bottom lane. Like, they got quite a lot for the failed play on the top side.
Yeah, I mean, 2 dragons going for the Gucci. They are in position for the soul. The question is, can they keep the pace up? I mean, by the minute Sivir is like gaining strength, and it's just they get the to the point where they have soul point with Sivir with at least 2 items, then it's just kind of guaranteed that they get the 4th as well.
Yeah, definitely. Right now they have the gold lead, and the gold lead is mostly in mid lane and well, the gold lead is in the mid lane, right? So that's become a huge problem for Punishers right now, because Syndra can basically play into the 4. He can also roam top if he needs to for the Rift, for example. So they should have like fairly good neutral objective control, and now that puts a lot of pressure on no info to actually find ganks, whether it's in the top lane or try to find ganks elsewhere, and then try to get someone back into the game. Because right now, like, you can slow down the pace of the game. They can play for every single neutral without doing much between the neutrals, apart from like pressuring lanes and trying to track the rel, track the jungler, and then if they play it fairly slow and calculated, it's Gucci favored right now, definitely.
And the tempo is certainly in their hands. We're looking at a 2.2 gold difference. It's just... That's rough. That's all I can say. The blades have gone down. Ooh, but his rebreathe is gonna just simply do the same hat trick over and over again. EQ ultimate with the Panzer, which just doesn't really either respect or pay attention enough. And that's just rough.
Yeah,
Like,
Punsen is definitely disrespecting the damage, especially early on. Like, for example, if you remember the first kill, like, Rebreathe came back with a Mythic, and Punsen had, like, half an item. He still stepped up, got solo kill, and then now he's making the same mistake when he doesn't have any real items to fight back.
okay, but no info is cooking.
Did they know, though? Because Noinfa cleared the ward and then walked
Oh,
into
but
the
we see
lane.
another one. The being, especially cross map gank here. Timo going down for sure. There is just no opposition, but no info is not getting the results he wants. This just ends up being failure for Emerald Punishers.
That's a really big problem, though, because now the gold lead is swinging heavily with the Rift Herald still available for them. Like, the tier 1 goes down now, Renekton can start pushing further, he can start roaming into either the jungle or mid lane.
I mean, the problem is, like, even if right now no info gets a gank in, he has to back, and there's just not enough time to take the river control once more to get the dragon, right? It's just...
Yeah. The dragon is free for Gucci unless something really happens here.
Especially if this goes the way it's going right now. Grelly's popping the ultimate, and no info has been left in the middle of the opposition. Grelly's being absolutely dove by Loss here, not getting the save from the W, and Bunsen also getting deleted once again.
That's blown up completely now. They're pressuring. They're gonna dive. They're gonna dive now.
Yeah, I mean, the
Once
tower is...
turret goes
They
down.
don't even need to dive. This tower is no more.
Yeah.
And now this is running after no info with... Oh god.
Yeah, Lulu had no mana, but the brand damage and the CC from Loss was enough there.
Ah, damn. I mean, the biggest thing about this matchup so far, I mean, has been pretty much the mid, right? It's just 4-0 solo kills every single time.
Yeah, the mid lane is huge problem. Like, apart from the mid lane going wrong, like bottom lane scaling evenly, top lane being back and forth. Like, the problem was Punisher couldn't get any meaningful advantage in the top lane, and then having your mid lane lose 1v1, and then not having any setup bottom lane. Like, there's no real lanes to play through, and when you systematically fall behind, having similar comps, then yeah, there's just not a lot you can do against that. But you have to give a lot of credit to Gucci as well. Like, Algren and Chessia, they playing safe bottom lane and understanding what they have to do. Like, they don't have to trade 2v2, just let the mid lane and the top lane get some leads, and then once the jungler plays spot side for the dragon, then we can actually fight and influence the game.
Yeah.
So that
Okay, but no
yeah,
info is just popping ultimate here, trying to keep Los Mordereta still. Does not really keep him still, he just gets free reign with the E. Timus jumps in right into the middle of the enemies, does not get the damage that he was expecting, and just Punishers get punished. What can I say?
They don't have enough damage there. Yeah, couldn't get the first target through the Lulu shields and the ultimate. Then
Oh, but the Donnery chase is on, as Algren has spotted the prey and is running for probably getting the kill as well. There's the ultimate coming out, and Donnery does escape. Meanwhile, Rebreathe has been just getting that farm, getting that turret just little by little down. Can't really end it, I think.
Yeah, Rebreathe is so far ahead that like one
Ooh,
rotation and one. Apart from no info as Rel, like Syndragon pretty much like one-shot everyone on the team if he gets one full
And
rotation.
now they're trying to
goes
ambush
in.
Rebreed here, missing the W, but Rebreed gets the ultimate down. The question becomes, does No Info have enough damage? The TP is coming in from Buns, and they are just trying to catch her just with every ounce of strength they have. Also, Grelis is joining in. Nothing is killing it.
Look at this side stuff.
Okay, we finally get the 1k shutdown. And Panzer finally has the revenge. Maybe not the one he would initially want, but here we are.
He survived for that long. Like if he gets another QE and W onto Panzen and gets another kill there, that would have tilted them off the face of the herd. But
okay, Gucci going for the Baron, bold move. As No Info and Grelis are trying to maybe at least watch what is going on, but I don't think they can do anything about it.
they need to try and contest that though. Grelis has the ultimate.
There is just no way.
Yeah, it's already down. That's a really good tempo play, because when Punishers go for the bottom lane play, Gucci has the tempo on the top side, even though Syndra is dead or Rebreed is dead, like he can TP back in, and with the tempo advantage, they just have so much time to solo work on the Baron. That's a really good call, whoever made that.
We brand it as team effort.
Yes.
Oh. So I blinked?
Did you see that?
See what?
Where did he go? That's absurd. Yeah, he's 3 items with the Rabadon's complete, 6 stacks on the Dark Seal, like the Syndra.
How do you fight that though? You don't.
You don't. Yeah, you need like 3 people to kill him, and you can't really find any picks on the Renekton either. It's very difficult to play now.
Okay, I mean, this is getting ridiculous.
Yeah, because go ahead.
If there is a universe where Emerald Punishers comes back, I do really do want to see it.
Yeah, it's very improbable. Like the team compositions play quite similar, so when you have similar team comps, there's not much you can do different to find opportunities, because when you can't team fight and when you can't find picks, as we may see another.
Think team was going down here, has to no escape after the E. No Info does jump in, try to save the teammate, but there is just nothing he can do.
Yeah, Info is the only one who has tankiness as they try to go for a ring.
Oh, but Info is trying to get the stun onto Breed. Breed flashes out. Grelis does ult everyone, but there is no damage to be dealt here. And Donner is running for his life as Breed is just straight up murdering everyone. And Algren does take a tower shot, does live, and is that the end?
Yeah, that should be game. That should be game here.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
There's 5 seconds on Yone. They can minimally get 2 inhibs.
I do think that Gucci is going for the dragon. To get the back in and go for dragon, no?
That's fair. They didn't need to risk it. I think with the 2 waves, it was close. Like 4 people on 20 seconds. It's a 1v3. It becomes close if you played really well. Maybe you can end there, but they don't need to take the risk. Like 2 inhibs into Drake, you get the soul. Then you 5-man bottom. You don't even really need to wait for the next Baron, and you can end it from there. But going back, yeah, to the earlier discussion, then like when you have similar comps, then the only win condition Emerald Punishers has is like finding picks, but there's not many people you can pick. Like for Syndra, you need 3 people. Getting the brand Sivir Lulu with the shields and the movement speed from Shurelius and Sivir Ultimate, like catching them is very difficult. Catching the Renekton in the side lane. They just ran out of win conditions once they fell that far behind.
I just noticed there's... Oh, but Pansen has just walked maybe a little bit too far. And it ends up being fine. 7-for-1 is just... Okay.
Just step and go.
What? What am I... I guess they're just having a little bit fun out of it. It's just enjoying the damage they are finally dealing.
741 was farming all early game, so he was like, okay, I want to fight as well. Just walked up and
Just when
engage,
okay, Timo does the engage, no info, also tries to follow it up, but I mean there is just no damage. Losmurder is not taking damage. Meanwhile, Algren and Frida's just hitting like the enemy non-stop.
Everyone low, but they can't surely get anyone here. Quadra kill for a rebreed there.
Can't end though, I think. Maybe?
No, they can. Easy.
Oh, they can. Wait, it's only Gravis. No, man. Yeah, it's end.
Yeah.
It's end. Wait, is there a reason for the dive?
Loss is just going.
Just going at it.
Why are they not finishing though?
I think they are. There is no escape from the minions. Even if Bunsen spawns, it just doesn't really matter, I think. Wait, does it? Wait, what?
They could have ended. That felt a little BM, but that's not for me to say.
I mean, ultimates have been used to just clear the waves, so...
Yeah, they had to clear the waves first, try to push out, and then, I mean, now they can't end anymore. They need to back and then either go for the Baron or just 5-man walk it down middle. But Loss and Josiah could have ended there if they wanted to, so...
Yeah, I do feel if they just walk down as 5-man, they can still end it without the Baron even. But getting the Baron is the safest route, because enemy just used at least Orianna ult to clear the wave. And since Krellis is also lacking the ultimate by the time of the Baron.
Yeah, they can't contest. They need to deal with the waves, and they can't push the waves far enough out, and you have the double TP threat if you don't push out the waves, so Baron is free, and now they just push with the Baron minions.
This is the part where they just walk into Rome. Straight up, just destroy the building.
Yeah, there's no.
And we go, Algren popping ultimate, Reed deleting Bunsen, just to remind one more time that how this game has went so far. And I think we are looking at the end as Los Mordreto is taking the final kill here. Nexus being blown up. And this being the game. The 40-minute Wonderland we were promised, or rather hoped for, did not occur.